told Lisa that I wasn't going to write a speech, but a couple of nights ago I said, well, if I don't write it down, I'm sorry. My name is Clay Patterson. First, before I talk about Taylor, I wanted to start with saying how much I appreciate the overwhelming amount of support over the last 9 days. To try and name everyone is impossible from the public safety agencies and the organizations, but I am going to mention a few that have just stuck in my mind and touched my heart from the beginning. I'll start with my own, the Bartow County Sheriff's Office. From the time that I found out Tuesday morning that Taylor was injured, I was on shift and they allowed me to leave and go straight to Grady. And I didn't leave until after his passing late, he passed late Friday night, early Saturday morning. They never questioned, they never asked me to come back, they offered everything, and I'm just forever grateful. Carroll County Sheriff's Office, the agency, and the people inside of it are always going to hold a special place in my heart. I'll always be indebted to them for my restart in law enforcement. They've treated me like family, but most importantly, taken care of Taylor's family. From the moment that before Taylor's helicopter even landed, everybody should know that the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, Atlanta Police Department, Clayton County Sheriff's Office, Georgia State Patrol, so many others were there. Like I said before he even got there, and they stayed there hours, days, throughout the week. We didn't have to wait, want, or need anything other than to just hope that Taylor was going to be okay. I think that I can speak on behalf of the whole family when I say that we'll be forever grateful for that. When people pass away, everyone, someone can commit the most heinous crime, and the news media will pick out a family member, and no one deserves to pass away or to die. I'm not at all insinuating that, but this person could be one of the worst people that walk the earth. And the minute someone interviews a family member or friend, they say, oh, he was so great, he was so loved, he cared for everyone. And I'm not saying that those things aren't true in some circumstances surrounding that person, but when I say it about Taylor, it's 100% true. I only had him in my life for 5 years. But they've been filled with so many fun times. When I met him, I had just gone through the most trying time of my life and my law enforcement career. And after about a 9-month absence due to a mistake that I made, Sheriff Langley gave me a chance and I got back into law enforcement. I was extremely nervous. I had all kinds of emotions running through my body and my mind. And as I made my way into the patrol room after my first day on day shift, I was hired just before Thanksgiving. The night shift was coming in. Well, everybody that knows Taylor knows that and this is not at all making fun of him, he knew it, everybody knew it, but Taylor had the most unique walk of any person that I've ever seen in my life. It was almost like it frustrated him to have to do it. Like it just took every amount of effort in his body to get 15 feet across the room. And he was not going to get in a hurry for nobody. When I seen him walking in, before I ever even talked to him, though, I said, "That boy walks funny." And then I went, and he was leaving work. He had gotten off, and I went and did my day shift, my short little FTO time with a day shift trainer. And then I came in that evening, and everyone else left, and I was trying to wrap up, and I was over at the computer, and all the night shift guys had already left, and I was about to go home. And Taylor walked over and said, "What are you doing?" Just like that. And his voice never changed. It was always one tone, very low. And I introduced myself and explained that I was trying to figure out the computer system, and also that I just had a nervous day because I was trying to get back in the swing of things. And the only thing he said to me, he never told me his name or nothing. He just said, "Well, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so we should get some good food brought up here." And the dogs play Saturday, so there's nothing to worry about. And he just turned around and said, "My badge number 943, holler at me if you continue to stress about the non-important stuff and actually need something." And he walked out, and I thought to myself, I swear, I said, "There's something wrong with that dude." And I was like, that's the same boy I saw yesterday walking funny, and now he's in here talking nonsense. And so shortly after that, I was assigned a night shift, and we worked together on the regular, patrolling neighboring zones and eating at cookout every single night on South Park Street in Carrollton, and listening to him talk about football stats, because that's the only thing that was important. I learned more about Waycross, Georgia than Wikipedia could tell you. And I learned that even though Waycross didn't know it, nor did one single person down there elect him, Taylor was in fact the mayor. Our friendship grew stronger and quickly transitioned into us spending our off days together. I got to meet his now wife, my other best friend, Lissa. I got to be a part of two kids' lives, Noah and Bella, who have done nothing for the last 5 years but give me absolute, hell. They're not his blood children, but he loved them like they were. From that moment on, and for the last 5 years, our little friend group has been inseparable. Camping trips, taking the boat on the lake, random trips to Atlanta and staying in hotels for no reason, because I'm just sporadic and don't have any justification for it. Going to Las Vegas, and then the one trip that ticked Taylor off the most was our 2023 trip to Mexico. The fact that he had to get a passport and provide the federal government with any more of his information was the biggest sin that I could have ever asked of him. It was such a sin that he waited until 6 weeks before the trip to even file for it, knowing that the post office sucks. We argued and argued about that. He was such an introvert, he would never be the one to start major conversations with anybody. He would never plan a trip. In fact, he wouldn't plan anything. He was carefree, humble, and he did not stress about a single thing on earth. I always envied him for it and was jealous of him for it, but I didn't let him know that because I was always trying to speed him up, and I hate things to not be planned. When we got him away on those random escapades with us, though, he loved them. I told him one day, I said, "You might as well get over it, because if you're friends with me, you're going to see the world." And he told me, he said, "Well, the day you plan a stupid trip, our friendship's ending." I quickly found out, though, that on all those trips, and I wondered if I should talk about it in a church, but it is what it is. This is who we are and who we were. But the key to get any stubborn, hard-headed, shy introvert to open up was tequila. Now, it had to be the rock tequila, because Taylor was still a kid at heart. You know, he went to college on a wrestling scholarship at Bruton Parker, and he reminded you of it every week. If you were at his house, it didn't take long if you walked into their large laundry room, because he still had what Lissa calls his leotards hanging up. And he hated it and would correct you on the name of them. But he loved wrestling when he was a kid. We argued about that just because it's just not my thing. We had a lot in common when it came to sports and stuff, but things like that, so I would always give him heck about the fact that he loved that stuff so much. But tequila, as long as it was the rocks tequila, did the trick. And I quickly learned that after about 2 or 3 shots of that, Taylor was anything in the world, because he now played the guitar. If you didn't know it, he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. And that if we could just get Alex Anthopoulos his phone number, the general manager of the Braves, he knows that every year that he'd contact him before the trade deadline. He would argue with a brick wall, and he would never admit when he was wrong. I told everybody a little story last week, and it's so true that I could tell Taylor that speaker right there was black. And if he was just in one of his moods where he wasn't feeling like compromising, he would say, "No, it's not, it's charcoal." And we'd argue about it for 30 minutes, and then the Lord could literally open up the sky and say, "Taylor, my son, that speaker's black." And Taylor would literally go, "All right." Well, as soon as God disappeared, he'd be like, "Well, it was charcoal yesterday." He was not going to let you know that he was wrong. I know that he would go to the ends of the earth, though, to make sure that our friendship was still alive and that I had what I needed. The same went with his family. About 1.5 years into our friendship, he finally started opening up, and we learned more and more about each other. And he actually had a few times where he was, and I say emotional, I don't mean crying, just sharing things that I never thought he would ever share with me. He was so proud of Lissa. And I think that everybody knows it. He thought that she was the most beautiful thing that walks the earth. Very few times that they had what we can call big arguments. But he would call me, and when I answered, he would start it with, "Well, Lissa's pissed at me." And I knew it was time that I had to counsel him. He told me that she was his dream girl and that he had to fix it every time he made her mad. And then he'd say, "Well," I'd tell him what he needed to do, and he wasn't going to do it. And he'd say, "Well, maybe she'll forget about it tomorrow and be all right." And that's what he would do. He would just wait until tomorrow. I said, "Taylor, you finally sucked her in 10 years ago by sliding into her DMs with 'Hey, beautiful.' If you can just find the words like 'I'm sorry,' you'll probably have it fixed today." But he was so hard-headed. But I think she knew that he was sorry because he was just such a humble person. Taylor didn't like confrontation at all. And I don't mean in his job, but he wanted his family and his friends to get along and love each other. He hated when they didn't. He hated any kind of spats or any kind of disagreement. He just wanted it to just be fixed and just go away. He's proven that he didn't mind confrontation at work, I believe, and I think he proved that Tuesday morning. Again, he was the most stubborn person, but also the most caring. I always told him that his obsession with the Georgia Bulldogs was to a point that he needed to seek mental health treatment for it. Because we stood in 100-degree heat in black suits in late July in 2022, miserable because he refused to have a wedding in the fall. And he would not compromise with it. We wanted to go to George Strait, and the concert was on a Saturday. And we said, "Taylor, let's just go. You can miss one game." And he said, "I'm not going, and I'm done talking about it. And I don't understand why in the hell George Strait would plan a concert the same day as Georgia football. And I said, well, as if the king of country considers his concert dates on the dates of your football program. He was serious about it, though. We were polar opposites when it comes to personality, and I consider myself an extrovert, but we both love the Atlanta Braves, our families, and our jobs. He was one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, and his dream was to be an investigator. He told me from night one that that's what he wanted to do. That's the whole reason why he got in this line of work. And you could tell on patrol he had absolutely no desire to be out there. He did it, though. He talked about cases he was going to solve before he ever even got promoted. He told us time and time again in that Taylor voice, I'm going to catch murderers, hide and watch. And what I learned, as I already told y'all, Taylor was anything after tequila shots. So what I wish I would have told Carroll County is they would have somehow been able to allow that. Their CID division would have a 100% solvability rate. I know that he's going to be so proud. When Noah makes the middle school baseball team, and when Bella is the valedictorian of her graduating class because she's the smartest girl on earth. I talked about how he didn't stress and how he was carefree, but when he was at work and as an investigator, I know that he gave it his all. What I'm envious of, and I think I shared this with somebody the other day, is that if the captain came to him at 4:56 in the afternoon and said, Taylor, here's 17 more cases on your load, and I'm sorry, and I need 7 of these solved by tomorrow's end. 4:56. Taylor's going to go, yes, sir, Captain, and clock out at 5 and drive home in his shiny new Jeep and then ask Lissa on the way what she's making for dinner. Nothing bothered him, and he was not going to let work or anything get in the way. And as we all know in law enforcement, it's not very common for someone to be like that, but Taylor literally could turn the job off the minute he walked out of the door. You would have never known he was a police officer if he didn't tell you, and he truly was not ever stressed. Them cases, he would say, he would get to them tomorrow, and like his mama said when they were on the phone with each other in the morning's time, and she would say, son, aren't you late? And he would just say, well, they ain't gonna miss me, because he'd get there at 9:04 to 9:15 to his 9 o'clock job. But we found out that we in fact do miss him. I've learned to respect how he was even more now that he's gone, and I wish I would have told him instead of always being on his case about it. I'm just glad that he wasn't stressed during his final days. Then I don't understand how he could be, because his last meal with Lissa, she hand-fed him a grilled cheese. Taylor was so spoiled. I love grilled cheese too, but I bet they're even better when you don't have to lift a finger to eat it. I discovered things about him over our friendship that I would have never imagined, and I've never told anyone. There's no reason to, but one small thing that just really blew my mind is when I found out that he enjoyed to read. I was helping him with something one night, and I found books in his patrol car, 2, and one was on history, and I picked him up and looked at him, and he looked back at me like I was the idiot and was like, I can read. And I said, I understand that, but I just didn't know that you did. He said, well, I don't unless my phone's about to die and I can't watch football stats. But talking about books, a quote from Ernest Hemingway stuck with me, and I think it's fitting for Taylor. Every man's life ends the same way. It's only the details of how he lived and how he died that distinguish one man from another. And Taylor, he truly died saving and protecting those he loved. He had a huge heart. He truly did not want people to hurt. And I know that he's looking down today still smiling because he accomplished his goal on Tuesday morning. because I know that we don't know all the details about that, and this ain't the place to talk about it, but Taylor protected the victims in those crimes. Whatever that guy was doing, he'll no longer be able to do it. I feel like I may not be talking enough about our times together, but just to be quite honest with you, most of the stories that we have are probably too colorful for this church. The endless laughs, the miles driven, the miles flown, and you should have seen him on an airplane. And all the different things that we've seen together. But the most important thing is I just wanted to paint just the smallest picture to let everyone know that didn't know him outside of work what type of person he was. I want to share just another quick poem with you all that I thought also relates to him. It's written by Major Michael Davis O'Donnell. If you are able, save them a place inside you, and save one backward glance when you are leaving for the places they can no longer go. Be not ashamed to say you love them, though you may or may not have always. Take what they have left and what they have taught you with their dying and keep it as your own. Taylor, you were one of my best friends that I've ever had. 5 years or not, you impacted my life forever. I promise you that I'll always look out for Lissa and the kids and your family if they ever need anything of me. And I never told you, but I really am sorry for betraying you and graduating from Alabama. Now that I don't have to hear your mouth about it, I'll say that. Although I do wish I could hear you. Whether you were arguing me about a sports stat or anything else, I would take it 10 times again. You'll forever be a part of me, and I love you.